Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I was at my local Walmart with my niece, 7, because I watch her when my sister is at work. We were looking for only a couple of things. This is the very start of the panic of the virus. So I'm looking for some toilet paper and something else, I can't really remember. The shelves are looking incredibly sad, and then I see it. One lone TP package. I grab it and I'm carrying it when I feel a sharp tap on my shoulder. I turn around and see the douchebag. I was wearing a camo t-shirt, black leggings, and a St. Louis Cardinals baseball hat. So I really looked like a Walmart employee.
Excuse me, where do you think you're going with that?
Home?
Well, I need it. And these shelves are bare, go restock them now. And I'm going to need more toilet paper, by the way.
I'm sorry?
Your stupid one package per customer rule is stupid and I'm not going to listen to it. My kid needs it.
My niece is holding on to my shirt and looking fearful. Most kids, hate people yelling at them. I hand my niece toilet paper so I can step closer to this douchebag. Me finally realizing, well, I don't work here. You're scaring my niece. Could you please go find an employee?
You're an employee. I don't care if you're on a break. I'm the customer, so I get first pick on the toilet paper.
His kid now grabs the TP from my niece and runs back to his douchebag of a father. An employee finally sees us and says, "Sir, this is the third time this week I have had to ask you to stop taking more than one package of toilet paper." I look confused at this point. More than one? The employee hands us back our toilet paper and another employee comes with a cart full of TP packages. The nice employee says, "I refuse to check out this much toilet paper. You need to leave." The nice employee escorts the douchebag and his kid out of the store while the other employee restocks the packages the douchebag got. To really help you understand how much TP, they were probably 10 packages. I got my niece some ice cream and we went home. I'm a 16-year-old boy and I have a passion for toys. It's a way for me to relive my childhood and bring joy to my little brother's birthday. I remember the day my little brother first saw a commercial of the limited edition toy he wanted, then how his eyes lit up. I knew that I had to get it for him, no matter what. So on this particular day, I decided to take a trip to the local toy store to find the perfect present for him. I woke up early, got dressed, and made my way to the store. My heart filled with excitement and determination. I knew it would be a challenge to find it, but I was determined to make my little brother's birthday special. I walked into the store and it was like a kid in a candy store. The store was decorated with colorful displays and the sound of children laughing and playing filled in the air. I couldn't help but feel a sense of nostalgia as I walked through the aisles, reminded of the days when I would beg my parents to buy me the latest toy. I knew exactly what I was looking for, a limited edition toy that my brother had been talking about for weeks. He had shown me the picture of it in a magazine and told me how much he wanted it. I knew I had to get it for him. I searched high and low, scanning every shelf and checking every corner of the store. I asked the sales associate if they had any left in stock, but they told me that it was sold out. I was about to give up hope and leave the store empty-handed when I spotted it, the last one sitting on a shelf in the corner of the store. The employee must have been mistaken. I quickly grabbed it and held it tightly, feeling a sense of accomplishment wash all over me. I couldn't believe my luck. I had found a perfect present for my little brother. But that's when I saw her. An entitled woman that we will call Karen. She stormed over to me, her face twisted in a scowl and her eyes fixed on a toy in my hands. She didn't even bother to acknowledge me as a person, she just demanded that I give her the toy.
"Give me that toy,"
she said in a demanding tone, her voice filled with anger. I was confused. I had just picked it up and was planning on buying it. I didn't understand why she thought she had the right to take it from me. "I'm sorry, I just picked it up and I'm planning on buying it," I replied, trying to stay calm and assert my own rights to the toy. I didn't want any confrontation, but I knew I couldn't give up the toy, not after how hard I worked to find it. She was not happy with my answer. Her face contorted in anger, and her eyes filled with malice. I could see that she was not going to back down easily, and that's when she pulled out a pocket knife, and she held it to my side, threatening to stab me if I didn't comply with her demands. "Give me the toy now," she said in a creepy, quiet voice, her eyes locked onto mine, trying to intimidate me. I could feel the cold metal of the knife against my skin, and I knew that she meant business. I was terrified. I had never been in such a situation before, and I didn't know what to do. My mind raced as I tried to figure out a way out of this, but I knew that I couldn't outturn her or overpower her. I could only comply with her demands. I handed her the toy, and we walked to the cashier. Because now, on top of me handing it to her, she demanded that I pay for it. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel the sweat on my forehead. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I felt trapped, humiliated, and violated. I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. As I was paying for the toy, the security manager approached us. He noticed the tension between me and Karen, and he could see the fear in my eyes. He asked Karen to step away from me and talk to him. He wanted to know what had happened and why I looked so shaken up. Karen, already agitated and furious, refused to step away from me. She was angry that her plan had been foiled, and that the security manager was standing between her and her prize. She lunged at the security manager, trying to attack him, but he was quick. He grabbed Karen's arm and twisted it, disarming her completely. He took the knife from her hand and secured it. He then detained her until the police arrived and arrested her. I was relieved that the security manager had intervened and that Karen was no longer a threat to me. After the police arrived and arrested Karen, I was still in shock and shaken up by the events that had transpired. I knew that I needed to tell my mother what had happened, so I called her as soon as I was advised to do so by one of the officers. I told her everything, from the moment I found the toy to the moment the police took Karen away. She was horrified and immediately came to the store to pick me up. Once she arrived, she saw the state I was in and she decided to press charges against Karen on the spot. She knew that what had happened to me was unacceptable and that Karen needed to be held accountable for her actions. She went to the police station with me to give my statement and to make sure that the appropriate legal action was taken. With the help of my mother, I was able to see that justice was served and that Karen would be held responsible for her actions. It was a traumatic experience, but it taught me that it's important to stand up for oneself, and it's important to speak up when something is not right. In the end, I gave the toy to my little brother and he was ecstatic, but the joy of giving him the present was tainted by the traumatic event that happened before. But I'm sure I can overpass it in no time. Hopefully. Edit. After the incident at the toy store, Karen was arrested and charged with several crimes, including assault with a deadly weapon, extortion, and other related charges. Thanks for the help of my mother who pressed charges on the spot, we were able to see that justice was served. The court found Karen guilty of all charges, and she faced a significant prison sentence for her actions. I had the unique displeasure of working in customer service over 7 years. My longest job was at a bowling alley in a mid-sized town. It was a high-end bowling alley in a town and thus attracted some pretty entitled people. While I got pretty good at zoning out their dumb requests and simply complying, there was a few times that malicious compliance was warranted. Backstory: the bowling alley required people to purchase bowling by time, i.e. $20 per hour, etc. When I turned on the lane, the bowlers got a 5-minute buffer period in addition to their time purchased. Most of the time, this was not an issue, and people came and left with no issue. Upon request, however, people could get an extra 15 minutes for free in a case of mechanical issues or large groups that were in the 8th frame or higher. I bet you can imagine where this goes bad. The main story. So one day, a family that consisted of a dad, 2 daughters, and a mother came in and started a tap within 1 hour. We let them open taps since we had servers and food service too. The kids were younger, but I had seen this dad in a bowling alley before as he played in one of our leagues. He was one of those just snappy-looking bowling guys with a rolling bowling bag, beat-up bowling balls, and huge belly that seemed to go hand in hand with the pro bowlers that came to this alley. He had scammed a lot of free stuff from us before, and we had actually been warned about him as employees. Fast forward an hour and his time is almost up when all of a sudden, I hear a large crash. It was a sound that a bowling ball makes when it hits the sweep that wipes the pins off the lane. There is a small window of time that a bowler can hit the sweep while it's cleaning bins. And of course, the dad I discussed earlier was the one that hit it. He comes bumbling over and tells me the lane is broken. I could clearly see that the lane was broken because the lane monitor screen had the code for a jammed arm. I apologized while holding back the barf in my mouth and called the mechanic. After doing that, he demanded 15 minutes of free time since he had to wait for the mechanic to fix the lane, which took 2 minutes. Since it was his first incident, I gave it to him. That was my first mistake. This happened again a second time when his time was getting low, as he had just started a new game. He came bumbling over and did the same routine. I regrettably gave the second set of time to him for free, and then he went away. As you might have guessed, it happened a third time. This time, however, I decided to charge him for the 15 minutes since I knew what he was up to. And our policy posted on the front counter that every customer agrees to specifically states that we only give 15 minutes for free. On the fourth time, the guy came over again and I charged him again. This happened a total of 5 times, and I charged him for 3. When he finally decided to pay out, he saw his bill and got furious. He came thundering over to me and barked at me, saying that I was wrong and that he needed to see my manager. When my manager came out, he gave his side of the story, which of course was about how I was an idiot and that our lanes break way too easily. I then gave my side and calmly explained that I give him more free time than our policy stated and that due to his continued request for more time, I gave it to him at cost. My manager then asked to see the tab and look through it. Not only did my manager agree that I was right, but he also made the guy pay for the second set of 15 minutes that I had originally given to him for free. My manager cited our policy and told the man what he needed to pay. After some intense yelling, the guy cursed us out, vowed to never come back, and he left. He came back for a leak 3 days later. He knew what he was doing that day and was just mad he got caught. The other day, these 2 older European women came into my section of the department store I work in and brought up a code from a different part of the store, asking me to price check it for discounts. I kindly explained that I can't be sure of the price if there is discounts on it, since my section of the store isn't actually working for the store. We just rent out space in it, so I can't be sure of any deals they have if they aren't in the system. I then told them they can go to the main service desk less than 20 feet away from my section and they can give the most accurate price. They immediately got very angry, calling me stupid, screaming at me and saying that I didn't know how to do my job. I spent 10 minutes explaining in every way I knew how that I can't be sure if there is any discounts on it because we are a separate store, just located inside the department store. So I/everyone that works there doesn't have knowledge of all the sales going on for other sections, because we simply do not need to. They continued to refuse again and again to walk the few feet to the service desk, and the one doing most of the talking/yelling threw, yes, overhand threw, the heavy coat at my stomach and told me to hold it for her. Then she walked away. I stuck the coat on a rack next to our station because this coat wasn't our merchandise, and I didn't care what happened to it after that. They then proceeded to come back 30 minutes later after wandering around the store, and the one that threw the coat at me was screaming and crying, freaking out, saying that she lost her 24K solid gold/diamond ring in our store. I'd noticed the ring the first time I saw her. It was a huge rock. She started screaming for me to please look for it because it's worth $15,000. It is her prized possession and so on. I glanced around and said, "I'm sorry, but I have no idea where it is and haven't seen it." She told me it was my fault she lost it then. Her and her witchy sidekick literally ran around the store for 5 hours and never found it. It's been almost a week and I asked the general manager of the department store if they found it. And nope, it's gone. Serves her right. Setting the scene, in Fair Verona there once lived a pair of typical upper-middle-class American empty nesters. My older brother and I both live in the same metropolitan area as said family home. We are both in our 30s. We work full-time while our mother, 63, is retired, and my father, 62, works from home and will be in the coming year. We were raised with traditional gender roles firmly in place and a strong preference for my brother despite the fact that he abused me for 3 years in our childhood, a fact that is denied to this day, and later dropped out of school and started dealing drugs before finally joining the military to straighten out. While I remained a straight-A student who graduated and went on to a major university throughout caring for my mother through surgery, chemo, and radiation for breast cancer, while my father traveled the world for work. The gender role thing didn't really stick with me. Between the abuse and being raised in a very liberal community, I sort of turned into a raging feminist and even sometimes misandrist. What can I say? I'm not perfect. But nevertheless, it's a continuing pattern that I'm expected to cook/bake for family events or help plan or run errands, and so on. Meanwhile, my older brother is rarely asked to bring anything, and if he is, it always amounts to something he picks up from the grocery store. Today is my father's birthday. Rewind to a week ago. My mother creates a group chat with my brother and I, asking about getting together for my father's birthday. My brother replies that he could do something Monday night, which is a little annoying that he can do something on the weekend, but we will just let that one go. My mother suggests that we need to do it at their house since they have a dog with a recent epilepsy diagnosis and they don't feel comfortable leaving her alone at this time, which is more than fair. The conversation turns to dinner plans. My mother, knowing I have recently been to a peach orchard and have a bunch of peaches, a favorite of my father's, asks me to bake him a cobbler as is a usual family preference over cake. I'm happy to do this as I love baking and I need to use my peaches. She also mentions getting takeout and coordinating with us to pick it up, which is fine, but I also already know I will be picking it up. The subject drops until Wednesday when I meet my mother for a class we signed up for previous to all of this. She mentions she's also making an apple pie for Monday as my brother doesn't like peaches, which seemed a bit overkill as we could easily just have pie then. But sure, that's fine too. So this brings us to Sunday. I received a call from my mother to let me know that my brother said he'd be over at 6 or 6:30, and as expected I would please pick up the food. I politely asked would it be possible for my brother to pick it up, and received the response that he's coming from further away. I remind my mother that it's just that I have to make the cobbler after work because it's really best if it's fresh. We don't seem to ever ask him to do or bring anything for holidays. She backpedals saying that we can move the time to later, but really we shouldn't go too late as brother works early mornings. I say we don't have to change the time as I will be forced to drive across our main shopping mall at 5:30 to get the food, leaving me only an hour at best after work to make the cobbler. She just says, I'm not going to call him back to do it now. I have reached my limit in pushing for this, so I say, it's fine, I'll figure it out. Please put in the order early in the day so they can plan to have it ready for me when I get there. And then calmly adds, please try and think about what you are asking of me and him as we go into this holiday season, as this practice of expecting nothing more than for him to show up is really getting old in 2022. And my mom replies with, well, I don't keep notches on the bedpost. I ended the call. So here we are today, and I have just received a message that my brother's car broke down and he won't be coming, so the evening is off. I feel bad for my father in this, and I'll be sending him a text and I'll drop off the painting I did for him as a gift in the mailbox later tonight. Now excuse me while I invite my chosen family over for a peach cobbler. The end. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.